Yo, what's good, you guys? It's Boomer and Jared watching Bali Star, and today we're getting into what's the most difficult place to get into. What's the most difficult place to get to in the world by Real Life Lore? You feel me? A channel called Real Life Lore. So yeah, we're gonna find out the most difficult places to get to in the world. Let's find out what they are. Let's go.
This is a video by Real Life Lore, sponsored by the Great Courses Plus. It may be easy to believe that anywhere in the world can be reached with a simple plane flight and maybe an Uber with some added walking in between. It's 2017 after all, so surely if you want to go somewhere you can get there in a reasonable amount of time, right? The truth is, there are still some shockingly difficult and remote places.
Of course, most of Australia, down under, in Greenland, up North Siberia and North America.
To get to
I thought there'd be more in South America.
World, and there are still some places that nobody in all of human history has ever been to yet. The question is, where's the most difficult place that you can possibly get to in the world, and how can you get there if you stop watching this video now and set off on your journey? Let's start with how far we've come. This is a map from 1914 that details travel times around the world if you started in London. Back then, most of Europe could be reached in under 5 days travel time, while more remote parts of Scandinavia and Russia would take 5 to 10 days. Getting to San Francisco could have taken up to 20 days, Sydney could have taken up to 40 days, and there were parts on every continent except for Europe that would have still taken months to actually get to. Today, however, the travel times are absurdly lower.
Imagine traveling to these places before maps were invented, bro. And you're the one inventing the map, so it's like you'll know where you stumbled upon.
Europe can be reached in under half a day's journey, as well as large parts of North America, Africa, and Asia. The journey to San Francisco that would have taken 20 days 100 years ago now takes only half a day. The journey to Sydney that would have taken 40 days now takes just about 1 day. Much of the world has been opened to rapid transportation thanks to modern air travel, but there are still a few places that haven't kept up with the rest of the world. Take Pitcairn Island, for example, a UK overseas territory in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that is home to a mere 49 people that is hundreds of kilometers in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Take Pitcairn Island, for example, a UK overseas territory in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that is home to a mere 49 people that is hundreds of kilometers away from the nearest other inhabited island. If you want to move here, they'll actually give you a free plot of land to build your house on, and temperatures remain tropical year-round, but there's no airport on the island, so transportation with the outside world is done only by boats, and they rarely visit. So, the best way that I've found to get there from London is as follows. You would first have to get a flight from London to Los Angeles, and then take a connecting flight from there to Tahiti. That journey would take about 24 hours, but then you would need to take a flight from Tahiti to another island named Mangareva, which only happens once every week and would take another 5 hours and 30 minutes. This is the closest airport to Pitcairn, and it's still 531 kilometers away. The only boat that travels to Pitcairn regularly with supplies is located here, but it only leaves once every 3 months to visit. If you are lucky enough and manage to get on the boat, it's another 32 hours of sailing before you finally arrive at Pitcairn, for a total trip time of about 2.5 days from London at the bare minimum. That's difficult, but then there's these islands named the Kerguelen Islands, also known by their ominous name of the Desolation Islands. Located in the remote Indian Ocean, they're 3,300 kilometers away from the closest population center
Antarctica
in Madagascar.
Than it is
Madagascar. There are around 50 to 100 French scientists on the island at all times, but like Pitcairn, there is no airport, so transportation is done only by ships. They are visited by only one supply and transport ship every 3 months that leaves from Reunion Island near Madagascar. So first you would need to arrive on that island somehow, and then get on the 6-day boat journey to the Desolation Islands. It would take a minimum of about 1 full week
underneath
to get
Australia
to the
is
from
crazy.
London, but there's an even greater challenge
more
to
down
do
under.
once you're there. The tallest mountain on the island is 1,850 meters high, and the first person to ever reach the top of it was some guy who flew up in a helicopter in 1960. Hardly anybody has ever been there ever since because it's one of the most remote mountain summits in the world, which means that it's likely one of the most difficult places to get to on Earth. But there are some other
Really?
mountains which are significantly more difficult to reach than this. Take Mount Sidley, for example, which is the
I
tallest
was thinking
volcano
Mount
in
Everest, but
Antarctica.
since Mount Everest is so well known, everybody has tried, so I'm pretty sure like a couple hundred, if not up to the thousands, have reached to the top of that, and it's very well known. So
Antarctica. Antarctica is already difficult enough to get to with no regularly scheduled flights from anywhere in the world, but the volcano is located in the most remote part of Antarctica known as Mary Bird Land, a place so vast and remote that no sovereign country in the world currently claims it. It's basically like being on the moon here.
I'm
And
gonna
the
claim it in the name
volcano
of
is
Pretoria.
4,285 meters high. It wasn't even discovered until 1934, and nobody had ever climbed to the top of it until 1990. And ever since then, only 2 expeditions have ever successfully made it to the top, most recently in 2010, which makes the summit of Mount Sidley an elusive place that very few people have ever or will ever be to. The summit of Mount Everest on the Nepal-China border is the highest summit on Earth and is obviously very difficult to get to. It's 8,848 meters to the top and has been
So high that
successfully
you even
reached
lose
by
breath
only around
going
4,000
up it
people through history,
because it's so
which is
near
fewer people than have ever won a Grammy.
the
But
spheres,
223
thermosphere,
people have died
hemisphere,
while attempting the
the
climb as
hemisphere.
well, which means that out of everybody who has ever tried climbing to the top, about 1 out of every 20 of them has died trying. That sounds very dangerous and difficult, of course, but then we move on to another mountain named K2, which is the second tallest mountain in the world,
K2.
but is far more difficult to climb. Only around 300 people have ever successfully made it to the top, while 77 people have died trying. Which means that about 1 in every 5 people who has ever tried getting there has died while trying. Nobody has ever successfully gotten there during the winter, and K2 is nicknamed the Savage Mountain because of its extreme difficulty in climbing. The summit here is a good contender for the most difficult place to get to, but another mountain in the Himalayas named Annapurna is even more dangerous. It's the 10th highest mountain in the world, but has only ever been successfully
Wait, where is it
climbed.
at?
Most difficult place to get to, but another mountain in the Himalayas named Annapurna is even more
Oh, okay.
dangerous. It's the 10th highest mountain in the world, but has only ever been successfully climbed by 191 people, while 61 other people have died while trying. Which means that about 1 out of every 4 people who has ever tried reaching the summit has died while trying to do so. In terms of your odds for survival getting somewhere, this mountain summit may truly be the most difficult place on Earth for you to get to, but there are still other summits on other mountains that have still never been reached by anybody. This is Gongkar Puensum, the tallest unclimbed mountain in the world at 7,570 meters tall. Nobody in history has ever been at this point right here, and nobody probably will be for a very long time. The mountain is located in Bhutan, and Bhutan has banned any climbing of it for religious reasons. So not only is getting to
Why
the
do
top
monks live
physically
there?
challenging, but it's also legally impossible. So what about a mountain that's legally okay to climb that has never been
That's where
reached?
Shangri-La
The tallest
is.
summit in this category would be Muchu Chihish in Pakistan at 7,453
Muchu
meters
Chish.
high, an incredibly demanding mountain that's only ever been attempted to be climbed twice in
Chihish.
recorded history. If you are looking for the most difficult place on Earth to get to that is legal for you to try, the answer is probably this summit right here, a place that no human has ever set
That
foot
look
on
narrow
in all
as
of
hell.
history, until maybe
Maybe
you
the fog
end
is
this video
is
and
covering
try
up more
so
land.
yourself. We as a species have been to both the moon and the deepest part of the ocean, but there are still several dozen mountains around the world whose summits have never yet been reached by anybody, making them possibly the most difficult places to get to on our entire planet.
Well, it seemed like most of them were like were mountains. Only like a few were like islands and all that stuff. I thought there would be more islands. And you know what I'm saying, based on the map and the red areas on the map, I thought you were going to describe each area on the map, like South America and Africa and most places in Australia. Y'all let me know your thoughts about it down in the comment section down below. You already know it's Boomer, and you're watching Bali Star. Make sure to leave a like for the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new so that we join up with the all-star gang up in this thing. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. 100. Yeah.